adjustments, contrast, all that kind of stuff. I think this could be a really interesting thing depending on whether or not this Indiegogo takes off. Now, considering that it had a goal of 75,000 and it's currently made 250,000 euros, that's actually a bit of a concern because the issue I have with some of these Kickstarters is, well, sorry, Indiegogos, I should say, is if they raise too much money, they actually don't realize or understand what they can do or what they should do to meet the backers' expectations. But I feel like that'd be a really good topic for a banter show, so I'm going to come back and join you.
There you
It
go.
would have been so good if the screen share stopped on the right time. But that's okay.
Well, interesting. Live, of course. Got to cut in when we're in our mid-chat. Welcome to the Daytripper Photo Show. My name is Brian Weiss. I run the Daytripper Photo Thing. And with me, as always, are my How you doing?
I'm doing fairly well myself, thank you.
Good, good. And, of course, we have Michael Lane. Good day. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Excellent. Lovely hat. Phil, where's your hat?
It's downstairs. I actually meant to grab it when I got a drink.
Sorry, I got one right here for you.
There we go. I was actually going to put it in the background as well, just so that I had that extra. So we had the trifecta. One of them, they're Sennheiser trifectors.
Easy for you to say. All right, well, today is the photo review show for the photo challenge that we liked to call album cover, because that's what it was. It was an album cover challenge, and it makes sense that we would call it that. Actually got a really a good assortment of photos. Guys, what do you think?
I think so, and a lot of super creative ideas, and with something this open and this open, I should say. Sometimes things can go in many weird directions, but I think everything went in a pretty good direction.
Yeah, I agree. There was a lot of different stuff that we got, and I saw a few of the people who didn't think that they would be posting a photo, which is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Well, we will get into that shortly, but first I just want to say, thank you everybody for submitting your photos. It's pretty awesome. We've got another good challenge planned for you at the end of the show, and I'm just super impressed with the shots that you guys gave us. So thank you all so much. Before we get into any more stuff, I meant to mention this last week. Obviously, I shoot a lot of wrestling photography, and I had a bit of a mishap. Or was it? The last wrestling event in Barrie, I did a VIP session with a character who is named Patient 705. He's about 6'8", huge dude, wears a mask and a patient outfit. He's pretty beefy. Anyway, he did a VIP thing where he was doing Q&A, and I got a little too close with Shirley, my little Nikon D3100. And he took Shirley out of my hands and smashed her on the ground. So Shirley has seen better days. It's just a little destroyed.
Yeah, it might work as well as a normal Nikon.
Oh, boom. Where's the sound effect when you need it?
I've been trying to get it working again, and I forgot this week that I needed to launch in Chrome, so I don't have any sound effects or a lower third for the third week in a row.
I call you Philip when I'm extremely disappointed in you. Philip. I don't know where I'm going. Anyway, yeah, so these things shatter pretty good. I've actually done this before. This is obviously planned. This was a non-working camera, and thankfully, and by the way, I fooled a few people. Robert actually wondered why I was lying to my partner, Joseph Leduc, when I told him that this was all just a work and it was a broken camera. He's like, why are you lying? It was a real camera. Why'd you break? Robert. The camera wasn't working. He's like, oh, are you kidding me? He was quite upset. Anyway, it was fun. And when we did this with a Canon camera, when it smashed, pieces are falling off. It dented and it cracked the shell. But with this guy, it shattered. Like, there were pieces flying. Like, these pieces are tiny and extremely, and they just totally shattered and went everywhere. So here we go. This is interesting. Look at that.
Hey. You could do a deconstructed exploded camera.
Oh, yeah, well, that would be interesting. You'll have to explain what you mean by that sometime, and I'll try and do that. But for now, just if you guys have a Nikon camera and you want to smash it, it shattered real good, blowed up real good. All right.
You can put that. You can put that in the store when people are like, "Do you do camera repairs?" Put it on the counter. Be like, "I try. Sometimes it works."
That was awesome.
Okay, so like Elmer's glue and put the together and be like, "Does this count?"
Use my
lens
lens
to the side of the camera. It probably works. That would be $250.
Did you guys look at the chat yet? See who's talking to us?
I always have an issue trying to get it to load. It always kind of freezes, so I need to let it run for a second.
Okay, we got to get you a computer. We got to get Michael a microphone. Like
a lot of things. If I could get a new iMac, I would. But
I'm getting mine on Saturday.
Lovely. Well, the first question was from somebody named Jessica Vieira.
Why breaking the camera? I'm assuming.
No, I think that was there before we even started the show.
Okay.
So I'm curious. Why? Ask why.
Well, who's Jessica Vieira?
I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure she's awesome. What I think my answer was brilliant. Why not? Right? Isn't that the right answer?
Do or do not. There is no try.
That's right. Christine says, "Good evening, gentlemen." Ivan says, "Hi, y'all." And Mark Flinders says, "Greetings from Innisfil."
Nice.
So hello to everybody who's watching us. Thank you so much for being here tonight. We're going to have a great time. It's going to be a fun show. I like the photo review shows. Before we get into it, though, there's a bit of news I just want to quickly go over. First of all, there have been lots of supermoon photos. So thank you, everybody who's shooting the supermoon. I love shooting the moon. It's not the easiest thing to do. If you leave your camera on auto, you end up with this big glowing ball of white light. So just going to shoot out some quick tips if you want to shoot the moon. A great starting point, keep your ISO low, 100. Go for about f8 to f11 and around 1/250th of a second to start. You'll probably end up speeding that up or slowing that down. But good starting point. Would you guys agree, Phil?
I would agree. And really, the way most of the cameras work these days, manual is kind of your best bet for the moon. It can be a bit tricky, but for something like the moon that's not going anywhere, you got time to play.
Yeah, exactly. Now you technically can possibly handhold the camera, but it's probably sharper if you don't use a tripod for that. But did you know it's not only the supermoon, which has been the closest in 48 years or something like that, but there's also the Leonid meteor shower is peaking tomorrow night.
Nice.
So if it's a clear night tomorrow night, these are not the busiest meteor showers. They are the Perseids meteor shower is much busier. This one's still about 15 per hour. If it is cloudy, though, there's a really cool website you can go to. Where did I have it? Here. The website is, you go to space.com. Tough one to remember. Space.com, and there will be links to get directly to a live webcast of the meteor shower tomorrow night, complete with commentary about the history and some unknown facts about the meteor shower. So if you're interested and you can't get out because it's too cloudy or whatever, go to space.com and find out about the Leonid meteor shower, which is peaking tomorrow night.
Fun fact about meteors. It is the first time for a couple 100,000 years that they'll be actually leaving space and coming to a planet.
What?
It's not wrong. It's just not. Anyway, you had something.
Oh,
and that's too disruptive awesome. Today. I'm not quite sure why.
Beautiful. Well, you weren't feeling well earlier today.
I'm feeling a little bit better, which is good. I'm back on the horse. If we go.
Does that mean you're an alcoholic? What does that mean?
No.
Oh, you mean you got back up on the horse?
I'm feeling better, so I'm back up doing things.
Yeah, still don't get the reference, but that's okay.
That's okay.
It's all right. I'm sure somebody out there does.
It is anymore. Answer the comments.
Yes. Well, actually, what I wanted to get into next was this new photo scan app from Google Photos. So if there's a lot of people, like I've been doing a lot of mentoring lately. I've had these Briangle sessions at the studio, and they've been going really well. It's been a lot of fun, met some really cool people. But a lot of the people I'm meeting, they really have very little interest in shooting in RAW. They just want to learn how to use their equipment a little bit better. And they just want to quick edit. They don't want to get into Lightroom and worry about all this stuff. So I'm starting to get back to recommending Google Photos for this. I'm just going to do a quick screen share here because Google Photos is doing some pretty cool stuff. Let me just pull this up. Here we go. Now, they've improved their editing platform on Google Photos. and they give you a lot of different features to play around with now. So I'm going to quickly just pull this up here. This is a shot of the moon, the super moon that I made. And if you hover over this little mouse guy here, click on that, the editing box opens up. And now you got a lot of presets to play with. Just hit auto. It makes it look a little bit brighter and cleaner already. And you can go in and you can actually do the pop effect and some basic color, lightness, or things like that. So it gives you some tools here. But if you get out of this and you download a separate Google app, let's just undo those edits because I don't need to do that. And the separate app is called, hang on one second, I had it right here. It's called PhotoScan.
Okay.
Now that's going to give you a lot of capabilities, shadows, highlights, all that kind of stuff. Very similar, I think, to what SnapBridge is offering, but it's all within Google Photos, so you don't have to take that photo, open it in SnapBridge, and edit it. It's all within it. So if you're interested in a very quick and easy edit platform for your iPad, your iPhone, or a Mac, or anything you can download an app to, check it out. It's PhotoScan. Pretty cool. And not to brag or anything, but I picked it. I chose this camera as the best camera, and I've been talking about it for quite a while. But it's official now. The Panasonic FZ300 is rated the best consumer long zoom compact camera out there. Anybody who knows me knows I recommend the Panasonic point and shoot cameras. They're always reliable. They have good features. They're easy to use, and they've got Leica lenses, so you can't really go wrong there. This FZ300 is the only compact, let's say under $1,100, that has a 2.8 aperture right across the entire focal length, from 25 to 600 millimeters. It's compact. It's easy to use. 4K video, and DP Review just rated it the best consumer long zoom compact of 2016.
And that's not an easy feat considering how many, consumer zoom compacts, large zoom compacts are out there. There's, Sony makes a couple, Canon makes a couple, somehow Nikon's still there, which is not actually a joke.
No, it's actually not.
And out of all of them, some of the menu systems in the Panasonic are a little backwards and a little weird, but as far as user functionality, it's awesome. They work super, super well. So,
and it shoots in RAW, so super well.
Sure. We'll go with that.
It works. Anyway, it's going to be pretty cool. So if you want a really good compact super zoom, check out that camera. I always recommend it, and I always post when it's on sale too because it's worth having. Now, it's funny because they picked the P900 Nikon as the camera with the most reach, 83 times zoom.
It's pretty big. It's a lot of zoom.
But what do we see happen with that camera working on the sales floor?
It breaks.
It gets returned.
Okay.
We have almost as many returned as what we sell. So I'm not a big fan. If anybody comes to me and buys a P900, I just know it's going to be a refunded camera. So I don't.
And it's going to sound like I was making fun of Nikon. I like Nikon. I used to shoot Nikon. And if someone gave me a Nikon and said, hey, shoot this camera, shoot this DSLR, use this D9D, use this D810, whatever it is, I would happily use it. Nikon, if you're listening. But
hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
The point and shoot side is almost like it's a different group of people who are doing something very different. So, we're talking about Nikon and talking about maybe the point and shoots aren't the greatest, but their DSLRs are awesome. They do a great job on them. Interesting on the numbering system because I'm curious to know where they go next, but it's the only company that I actually see a disconnect between one side of the business and another. Like Panasonic, GH4 is great, point and shoots are great. Sony, everything works. Canon, everything works. It's just Pentax also is good.
Pentax is also awesome. Ricoh makes some great stuff too. But, bottom line is try out a bunch of different cameras. If you want a good compact camera, I'm going to recommend this one till the cows come home. And that's pretty much it for the news. There's a lot of stuff that we have to review, so let's jump into that. But first, I just want to remind everybody, please join the Daytripper photo community. It's been growing slowly, which is really cool. We're about 476 people right now, which is, in my opinion, awesome. I mean, that's a lot of people. It would be cool, though, if a lot more people were more active in watching the show and contributing and so on. But I got to thank the core group of folks that continuously impress us by sharing photos and asking questions and, just get out of or get the most out of an online resource like this. It's free. It's fun. There's no ego or attitude. I just left the New Market Camera Club for a lot of reasons, one of which was because, I just like this peacefulness that we have with the Daytripper group, and I really want to embrace that. So thank you guys from Daytripper for being so awesome. And a lot. When we reach 1,000 subscribers, we're able to do different things and put out different kinds of videos, longer content, more of a knowledge base tutorial video, fun conversational type of things like we like to do. So there's a lot that can be done once we hit that 1,000 subscriber plateau. We got a long way to go, so tell your friends, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and be a part of the head, folks. Fun stuff. And don't forget, if you are watching live, join in the Q&A. Chat to us. Use the YouTube. It's right beside the YouTube window, and some folks are doing it already. Michelle says, "Happy Wednesday, y'all." And that kind of sucks.
I'll blame Google.
And Michelle asks if I'm doing the mannequin challenge for anybody or just her. Apparently I'm.
I get what you're saying. I see what you did there.
Freezing, yeah. Well, hopefully it'll catch up and it'll be okay. So, all right, so let's get into it, guys. Who wants to do a screen share?
It doesn't matter.
Apparently Jerry Kelly is getting broken audio as well.
Oh, dear. Is that from all of us, Jerry, or just Brian? And we'll wait a minute for that because it takes a second.
Now, there's a lot of reasons why it could be breaking up. It could be on our end, and it also could be on the viewer's end. If you have not a really fast internet, it can be choppy and lag a little bit. Hard to say.
Oh, sure.
All right.
On the viewer.
I assume that I'll do it because I see my thing was actually not being laggy and weird, so I think I'll jump in here. Although my chair is super comfy, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah, you've got a new chair there.
I finally got rid of the one that was falling apart.
Lovely.
Yes, so let's start off with some images. Just start at the bottom and go up.
Let's do that.
Sounds good. That's what I'm gonna
Jerry
do.
says it seems okay now. Excellent.
Pop in here. Was there two of these? Oh, it's just the pictures used. Okay.
Yeah, so it
I
was
like
really
that.
cool. He gave a lot of the behind the scenes. Jerry supplied us with the images he used to composite, and then the final edited image. And I like that. It gives us a good idea of what he's thinking of doing. So thank you for the behind the scenes photos.
Absolutely. Now I'm also kind of curious. This looks like it's in your house, so you have an old, what I'm assuming is possibly a Victor-style gramophone, which is pretty awesome. If I could move my computer, I'd show you mine. It's sitting beside me.
Oh, nice. Does it still work?
Oh, absolutely.
Nice.
If Lindsay wasn't trying to sleep, I would put it on for you.
It's okay. What kind of music do you have for it?
Pretty much anything made before 1940.
Wow. So
Yeah, there's still I was going to go grab one. There's still the super heavy 72 RPM.
78.
Vinyl, 78. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm old.
That's okay. I tried to time it out once, so.
My mother has an album, a 78 of her bat mitzvah. They actually recorded and pressed an album during her bat mitzvah.
That's actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, when she was 13 years old, so she still has that. Anyway, Jerry's photo. So he's got the title, he's got the band. Retro is the title by DB and the Dogs with the hit song Call Me. That's right, the phone is there. So, Michael, why don't you start on this? What do you think?
I think it's interesting. I'm wondering why you decided to make the other photos in it transparent.
So what, you would have them fully solid?
Yeah, I would have them solid. I just don't see a purpose for them being see-through as opposed to solid.
Interesting.
But the other thing to consider when you're doing composites like this is looking at the resolution of the photos. The photos that you're mixing together, the ones at the bottom that you've brought into the shot are smaller, but they're very, very sharp. They're very crisp. They look like high res compared to I'm guessing this is a doll, being a little bit blurry and lower resolution, and it doesn't combine as well when you've got mixed resolutions like this. That makes it a little more obvious that they're pulled from separate shots. But otherwise, it's an interesting idea. I like the title. And I like the hit song Call Me coming into it. But,
well, I think he did a great job splicing stuff out. I mean, that to me is the hard part.
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely a good job cutting them, especially on the gramophone.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Phil?
I was going to say, yeah, the cutting out of the two items is very good. You don't see any bleed over or anything. No leftover from the background.
Yep, that's not easy to do. I just think it's a fun photo. I mean, I can see he's used a lot of different techniques. He's done layers, he's done blending and masking, a little bit of dodging. What do you think happened with the retro being so bright and the rest of it being kind of darker? The color to me is kind of a cross between bright and dingy. Do you know what I mean? Like the darkening kind of did something to the tone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But no, I think he did great work isolating the phone and the phonograph. And I just want to hear the story behind this. Like, what's going on? Who's DB? And the dogs. So I'd like to know more. I'm left wanting more. How about that? How's that sound? Yeah. Anything else to add, guys?
No, I like it. I don't know if it was a resolution-ish, sizing, or if it was an artsy choice. I actually kind of liked that the main center picture is slightly soft. It gives it that older kind of what were those called again? Jackets.
Varsity jackets?
No, like the album sleeve.
Oh, like a sleeve.
Yeah, it gives it kind of that old school sleeve feeling. Because I feel like if I go through my collection, I'll find one that's slightly out of focus. So I kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely is true. If you look, I have a whole bunch of stuff open right now, and old David Bowie and John Lennon, and there's a lot of that kind of soft, and that is something I probably shouldn't share. You got to be careful what you search for.
Yeah.
You don't know what you might find.
Every once in a while when I'm teaching, I'll talk about doing super long exposures, and I'll type into Google, long exposure doc.
Oh, no.
Always hesitate to hit the enter button.
Yeah, it was kind of like at work when we used to search something up on Black's camera.
Yes.
Yeah, you definitely have
those were the good days.
Yes.
They weren't using cameras.
We're squirreling a bit here. Let's go up to the next photo. So we have Mark's photos.
I think they're the next ones.
It'll do.
Oh,
okay. We had conversation. We always do this. When we do a review show, we meet early and we talk about the winners or who we think should win, who we think should lose. And, well, we don't think lose, but we pick our top three. And there was discussion about this photo, and there were differing opinions. And I found that extremely interesting. Phil, why don't you start with your opinion on this one?
Well, I kind of started at one end of the spectrum, and then by the end of our conversation, I flipped over to a different end. But I was kind of confused at it a little bit. Like, I thought certain things were done well, and certain things could have been adjusted a little bit. And then the more we talked about it, you were telling me that they actually used to print the parental advisory on instead of it being a sticker, which I thought it was before. And yeah, I thought there was a couple of things that could have been changed, but as we discussed it, you guys were talking about how it's all actually piled together. It kind of made it make a bit more sense.
Okay. Michael, what do you think?
Yeah, again, I had certain opinions about it, and then the more we talked about it, I kind of shifted over.
It's like I'm a salesman.
It's a very busy shot, and that it's more of a style preference thing for me is what stands out, is that it's a very busy shot. There's a lot going on. on both sides. I do love that you have both covers of it, that you've got the back as well.
Yeah, can you flip to the
Yeah,
back?
I'm just jumping over there.
I just simply speaking, I'm a minimalist. I like having one or two focal points, and this has a lot going on with it. But the more you look at it, the more you see everything that's actually been thought out and included. Like, I love the fact that you've got the little cutout of the third guitarist, and the thumbtack placed on it was a really, really cool idea.
Yeah, and there's like the drop shadow behind it to try and make it like it see like it's coming out of the page.
Yeah, I love the choice of fonts. I love the song titles. Just there's all the little things that you could think of with putting together something that's actually an album cover, having the parental advisory, having the barcode on the back of it. Just all the little things in it were really, really clever and really easy to appreciate. So that's really just what 10%. Stands out for me is stylistically it gets to me that it's just so busy. There's so much to look at. There's a lot going on here, which personally for me I find a little bit distracting, but it's sort of offset by the fact that everything that is happening is really good and really clever and really funny.
I agree. I was just reading some of these names on the back that I didn't read earlier, and I like the how can I find love? I can't even find my keys.
I love She Stole My Heart and My Cat.
Hairballs, a Requiem.
Somebody has a story going on behind this.
My thoughts on this, see, I'm from this era of the album.
Metal hair bands.
Metal hair bands, the album, the whole thing. This, to me, looks like something I would have picked up off the shelf when I was scanning through albums because it's bright, it's contrasty, it's vivid. There's black and white, there's pop and color. I know there's a lot going on, but if you look at old albums from back in the day, dude, they cram everything onto them. Like, they just put the kitchen sink on there. I mean, have you ever seen an Iron Maiden album?
Good point. Or like a Meatloaf album. Sure, they're drawn, but they don't make sense. And it's not the type of music you think it is.
Check this out. There's Iron Maiden. You want to talk about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And if we go to the Kiss albums, Rock and Roll All Over, I mean, this is the era. This is what they did. They had a lot of that bright color, a lot of stuff going on. So to me, this is bringing me back to that whole thing. And even the back of it with like the old photo of the guys as they were younger. Like there's Mark on the left. We said originally that you can use older photos. It's okay as long as you put it together specifically for the challenge. And I think it's brilliant. That's my 2 cents.
Okay.
I love the songs. I love the humor involved. I mean, it's classic Mark Flinders, right? But anyway, that's what I think. And your opinion that you had about how, it was busy and this and that, I get it. And if you're looking at a photography thing, you're trying to create a photo. You want to keep a simple story. You want to have it very easy to read. Where I think the album cover kind of loosens those rules a little bit and gives you some permission to put on the cheesy parental advisory sticker on the front of it. And, just have a little bit of fun by putting on the guitar player with a thumbtack. I mean, that's the details. That's the 10% that I'm talking about. So I like it. Good job, Mark.
All right.
All right, let's have a look at the next one, guys.
I think that brings us to, sorry, I have to do this as I go. I thought I did that down there. Brings us to this one.
I'm confused.
And,
which one? There we are.
And who went
Did
first?
we miss Ivans, or is that still next?
That's still the count. That's, I think,
Okay.
next one.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's in a different order on my screen.
No problem. So the Intrepids. This one is Christine's.
Why don't you start with this one, Brian?
Yeah, I'm going to start on this one. I love the black and white theme. I think it works really well. And again, it's very contrasty. And here, Michael, here is where it's a simple theme and it really works.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very simple one image, but it tells a lot of different stories. Strategy, chess, the lighting is dramatic, and the black and white contrasty feel. Typography, Michael, you talked about the fonts and the choice of that. What do you think?
I have a little bit of background in typography, And I gotta say, I really, really love the choice of font for the Intrepids. One of the things that stood out to me that I was talking about earlier was the font for strategy. I think on its own is a good choice, but next to the Intrepids, I think is a little bit too different. They don't flow together that well because you have this really like futuristic Tron-like font in the Intrepids, whereas in strategy it's sort of soft and organic, and I don't know. One of them feels sci-fi, and the other one feels fantasy novel. And
It does kind of have a Stranger
there's a
Things
little bit of a
vibe to it.
disconnect.
See, I like the difference of the fonts because I think that helps kind of separate the two.
Mm-hmm.
Because in these album covers, you have the band name and then you have the actual album title, and sometimes those can be very, very different. So I'm okay with the slight difference in font.
I think if one was a different color, like yellow or something, it would have been off.
Yes, but keeping with that black and white theme, or that almost black and white theme, it was good.
Mm. I like how the light is on the front side, not on the back side of the figures as well, because it gives a bit more drama to it, a little bit more suspense.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that I think you'd also see in the shelves of an album, of a
Yes.
record store. Yeah,
Definitely.
cool.
One thing I can say with this album, I can see the out of focus piece in the background with that, just the top of it is catching the highlight. I would have liked to see actually a little more light on the background, even keeping that dramatic light and having sort of a backlight on those pieces and having a little more depth of field that we could actually make out the shapes, because it's got that dramatic. This sort of, what really interests me about this shot is actually something I talked about in a previous show, was the leading lines, the implied leading lines from Eyesight. That when you have someone on the left side of the frame and they're looking out into the open space, then you're actually using that negative space because the eyes are looking out that direction. It's the implied line. There's a connectivity happening. There's no eyes in this shot, but you still have everyone lined up looking the same direction, and that implied line is still happening. So I think that's a really interesting element of the shot, is that this has the same personality as a portrait would, and the same compositional feeling that a portrait would, but it's chess pieces that don't even have faces. But
That's really cool.
where that connectivity falls off is I have that element I can see in the top of the screen. I know that that's where they're looking, but I can't actually make out anything other than that little blur ball in the corner. So the only thing I can say as far as critique goes for this is I would either like to see that blurred highlight removed because on its own it's a little bit distracting, or I'd like to see more light on the background to actually highlight sort of an opponent for the strategy.
Yeah, that's really cool. Actually, Christine says that's a really good point, Michael. The horse is kind of the eye looking out.
Yeah, I definitely get that feeling.
Really cool. Actually, while we're doing this, why don't we go back to the chat here for just a second, because there was quite a bit of conversation back with Jerry and his photo. So first of all, he says he has one record for that record player, which I think you've got him trumped there a little bit, Phil.
I'm trying to get the chat pulled up. I don't think that's going to work, so I'm going to go back over here.
Well, no worries.
I'll get you guys to fill me in when it says.
Well, Jerry says he wanted focus on the girl. So did you guys think that the girl was in focus? If you can pull that back up for a quick sec, Phil?
Well, it depends what he means by focus, right? Because you can have focus as in sharpness, and you can have focus as in, that's the point of the picture.
Yeah.
I think that was in response to me talking about why the other objects were transparent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
Yeah, because
What I
she's
could say
definitely
for
the
that,
key.
what I could say for that is, I think she needed maybe a little bit more contrast then, rather than making these objects transparent. Because even though they're transparent, they're still more contrasty than the girl is. and they're still sharper. And sharpness and contrast are both elements of depth in a photo that bring sharpness and contrast are both going to bring an object closer in the frame to the viewer. And as far as compositional depth in a photo goes, they feel closer and more connected than she does because of that sharpness and contrast. So I don't think the transparency in this case did what you were trying. I think sort of the biggest thing that you could have done with this is add a little more contrast to the girl and bring down the black levels in it, the shadow levels in it, and have her pop a little more just on her own.
A little more sharpness would have helped that too.
Definitely a little more sharpness would help.
Good point. That's awesome. Good tip there.
I do like what he did with the shot, and especially when we compare it to the original Just Her. Like, he's gone in and touched it up a little bit, getting rid of whatever the stuff is here. So I do like, that
she had a tracheotomy, actually. So
okay. He was trying to make her the center. But let's hit that chat for a second.
Okay, so he says his wife is Debbie.
Okay.
So I wondered, DB might be a nickname. Christine says, good job, Jerry. You have better editing skills than she does. She'd like to learn about the layering effects. So that being said, Michael's got a 2-part composite class that we're going to be running in the new year. When did we say that was going to be, Michael?
It was sometime in February.
Yeah, February 11th and 25th. Oh, wait, February or March. Either one of those two. But, yeah, February. We'll do that in February. So the 11th and the 25th in February is going to be a 2-part from workflow to hands-on composite layering and all that kind of class. So that might be something to think about. And Jerry says there's a dog on the record player. I didn't notice that.
Yes, the His Master's Voice logo, which I believe turned into RCA.
Oh, yeah, right on.
Yeah.
Okay, and a mannequin challenge. Okay, so I know what you're talking about with the mannequin challenge. There's all these videos going around where people walk in. It's like actually video, and they're walking into a place and everybody's frozen like a mannequin. And the camera goes through the scene and does all that. So, yeah, maybe we'll do that at Henry's New Market. That could be kind of fun. And Christine says, we know what they don't. Mwahaha. Nice. I liked what you did there, Mark. Extra cool points for the parental advisory sticker. And Mark says, thanks, guys. I was absolutely aiming for a busy 80s rock hair band flavor with my album. It was about the story of my misspent youth. I totally get that. My band's name was 40 Cases Later, as you can see in the photo there. So, yes, that's how I spent my misspent youth as well, in a band drinking beer and doing stupid stuff. Christine says, good point, Michael. I already mentioned that. Mark says, thanks, Michelle. And Jerry says, thanks for the feedback, everyone. All right, cool. So let's move along. You're welcome for that, Jerry. This is Ivan's. Now, Phil, why don't you start on this one?
Well, it's kind of busy. Because it's got kind of that recursion theme going on. However, it feels, if we're going off of what these feel like, this one kind of feels very Pink Floyd-y to me. Like, if this was like a Pink Floyd album, this would make a ton of sense.
Yes, for sure.
But I do like the fact that the center picture, I don't think is the actual outside picture. I like the fact that he built the frame with another picture, kind of leading you in to the center, as if it is a window to his world.
Look at what he did there. What do you think, Michael?
Yeah, this is definitely on the busier side. It's an interesting concept. I like this sort of portal feel to it. It looks like a doorway or a mirror or something. I like the different forest. It feels like I'm getting that like doorway into Narnia, and the framing of the trees within the shot sort of give me that framing of a doorway as well. But the recursion aspect of it is really getting to me, because it really is. There's so much happening in this shot. And I think an important thing to point out in this case is your font is kind of hard to see.
The black really blends, especially on the bottom with the leaves and stuff.
Yeah. To this, I can say my like 5 minutes worth of memory that I actually have from learning about typography. Um, when you're using font in any sort of excessively busy or excessively detailed or textured environment, the most efficient font you can ever use is actually white text with a black outline. And they've established that white text over a black outline can be perfectly visible in absolutely any context because of how significant the contrast of the font itself is. So I'm curious to see what that would have looked like on this image because it would have been a little easier to actually pull that information out from the shot. Because definitely it gets pulled away a little bit looking at the top, but it's definitely very hard to see to my world at first glance.
Yeah,
In
you
the
have to
bottom
look
of
to
it
read
with the
it.
darkness of the leaves. And just in general, when it comes to album covers, you want to be able to see the font. You want to sort of be able to see all the information at first glance, get everything you're looking for right off the bat,
And
rather
again, the
than
point of that is you're
looking
flipping through
for.
albums in a rack, and you want to be able to just go, "Oh,
Yeah,
look, I want that one."
yeah. Like it's got to notice you before you notice it.
Oh, I like what you did there too. I think there's a great story here. A photographic window to my world. I get it. You know, you have a window layer on layer on layer on layer. I get that. There's a lot of bright colors and lots of contrast. It really draws my eye. Unfortunately, it almost draws my eye into a seizure. Uh, there's so much going on. If I had this on like a big screen or printed on a wall, it would be like I'd have to look away because it's just there's too much busyness going on. I think, but I have to say, having the center image kind of a different muted tone, it helps to differentiate it from the rest of the photos, which is good. Um, that's kind of how I'm articulating it. Does that make sense? What I'm saying, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get how photography is a photographic window to our world, and I do think it's a pretty fun concept. And I really, it's not something I've ever been able to do, so it's kind of neat how you've got that going in there. I just think with the trees and the greens and the yellows and the sky, it's just a little bit. You know, it's funny. It reminds me of Mozart.
Okay.
So Mozart, one of his critiques when he was making his music was he was too busy. The ear can't hear that many notes. And, you know, you hear this now and you think, what are they talking about? Mozart was a freaking genius. But then they really poo-pooed his music. Yes, I said poo-pooed. Because
It's a musical term.
It is a musical term. It's the low C. Makes you poo-poo. Anyway, I'm just so weird. Anyway, yeah, so that's kind of how I think about this. It's just so busy that the eye can't really process it the way I think it should be processed.
But in that way of thinking about it, I think that brings that center point almost to like a three-dimension kind of feeling because everything else is so busy and that center's not. It kind of helps everything, I think at least, kind of stand out. Now, I think it might actually be the same picture but reversed. I think it is. I think it's the same picture cropped in and reversed. Which is super cool if that's the case.
I don't think so because I don't see these border trees.
But that's what I'm saying cropped in because if we take a look, we have this leaf coming in somewhere. Maybe not. Yeah, no.
Yeah, there's too much birch in the background.
Oh yeah, because the other one's got more actual
Don't worry.
bare sky.
Okay.
Unless it's just muted. I don't know.
No, it's a different picture.
Yeah, definitely.
Michael,
I've just been staring at the recursion too long.
Yeah, see, it happens. Michael, you were thinking something else about sharpening.
Yeah, I'm looking at the sharpening of this center shot, and I can point out something. It's really, really hard to see, but if you look really closely at the content of this middle shot, you can see sort of these little squares showing up. And the sharpening, when you over sharpen something, it creates something called artifacts, and it's these little sort of crisp, like mid-tone contrasty lines and shapes that show up that aren't actually the image or part of the image. They're a consequence of trying to find more contrast and trying to create more contrast that isn't actually there in the shot, which is something, it's an issue for Lightroom, it's an issue for Photoshop. If you're adding a lot more edge contrast, you start to get things like artifacts. And in this case, I think it's Lightroom is the culprit. I've found has this sort of square pattern that it creates when you sharpen it a lot more. And I'm seeing this square pattern in the center shot. So another thing to consider is it also, when you go really far in with the sharpening, it has this bit of haloing happening, and you can see the trees in the background right in the center of that middle photo have this sort of white edge to them. And these are all consequences of really, really pushing the sharpening up on a photo and going a little bit too far with it, and it starts to create these artifacts, and that's where you're getting this little bit of a gray coming through. Is you can see it in the leaves as well on the bottom. You start to lose some of the color because it's trying to create the contrast, and it starts putting white and black into these areas where it sort of shouldn't really be showing up. So I'm seeing some of that white from the artifacting coming through, and it's distracting from the actual color quality of the rest of the image.
Ivan says they are two different photos, by the way, guys.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I was trying to zoom in that whole time, and apparently I can't.
No.
So I'm curious, Ivan, what you edited this in and what you sharpened it in, because I'm not sure if this is Lightroom or Photoshop doing this, but I'm curious as well if you can see that square pattern that I'm talking about showing up in these artifacts.
Well, let's see if he gets back to us. In the meantime, and in between time, let's check out, Lori's. Cool. Phil, why don't you start on this guy?
Absolutely.
Girl.
So we were taking a look at this earlier, and I like the shot. It feels very Christmas album-y. And we were talking a little bit about the snow effect earlier, and I do like it. It looks like it's a couple layers of snow put together, which helps it kind of stand out a bit more and give you that more realistic three-dimensional look. Thinking about what we were talking about before with the lettering, I do like the font in this. And it looks like, and I'm trying to get closer to my screen, it looks like there's no outline or no stroke on the red, and I think that could have helped it stand out a bit more. Maybe give it a crisper edge, I'm not sure. I'm kind of on the fence whether or not it has one. What do you think?
Michael?
I don't know, I'm a big fan of this, actually. I think the only thing that really stands out to me is the color, the red color in the font.
Okay.
It's a bit subtle.
It what?
It's a bit subtle.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it's a little too dark. You want to be like popping a bit more?
Yeah, I'd want it to pop a bit more. I wouldn't want to go solid red. I think that would be too harsh.
Okay.
But I'd want to see maybe a little bit brighter and maybe a drop shadow or something on it, something to separate it.
Okay.
Because it's where it says by Avery. I think it just feels like just print. I mean, it could, but like I'd want to see that popping a little bit more. But there's really not. I can't really think of much to say about this photo. Otherwise, I really like the shot. I like that you used the snow brush.
No, here's the thing.
Some snow brush in Photoshop.
Yeah, before
you mentioned snow brush, and Phil mentioned earlier in our pre-chat about the snow brush, how you can just do this and that. And I'm looking at this thinking, that's really cool. I've never used a snow brush. I don't know what a snow brush is. I look at this and I feel very warm and like it's a wintry scene, but it feels warm and it feels rich. The tone of it, I love the tone. I love that muted kind of color. It's not really popping, but the blues are there and you can still see the red. The lettering, I just think it's like Phil said, it just feels like a very warm Christmassy album. Christmas album-y.
Mm-hmm. And I like that she bumped the blues up. I feel like she bumped the blues up in the eye a little bit. I would have liked to see both bumped the same. I feel the right eye is a little less poppy than the other one. But all in all, I think it works really, really well. I like the shot, and it's well in time for the holidays.
I agree. Absolutely. I think we all agree that this is just a really cool shot.
Mhm.
All right, so what do we have left? We have Rosemary, and is that it?
Yours up because we're talking about 40 cases later.
Oh, so, yeah.
And we'll pop back up. Oh, I've done something.
I've destroyed the internet. So the story here is I was in a band called 40 Cases Later. My buddy's out in Oshawa. And it's funny, Mark, one of his album names, one of the titles on Mark's photo is, where is it? Let me see if I can find this. The bass player moved to Germany. Jerk was the name of his song. And I think it's funny because I was the drummer that moved from Oshawa to Newmarket, and I didn't ever go back to the band. So I was that jerk that left the band for, well, moving. And thanks, Mark, for, not knowing, but still fingering me out there. So yeah, this is just an old shot of me spinning my stick. It's like a 15-second exposure, and I layered in a photo from Honeymoon Suite that I shot over at the White Rabbit a few years ago in the back, and it's just fun. I know I can't win, so I figured I don't have time to make the new photos that I wanted to. I mentioned to Phil what I wanted to do with multiple flash behind me and the sticks spinning, and I never had the time to set it up and do it. But I figured I'd play around with something. I learned a lot from Michael's class, from his composite class that we did. I don't know if he still feels away, but I still think that was an awesome class. It was a lot of good content delivered. I learned how to layer and how to do a layer mask, which was something that I had taken classes before and never really got. So I give you credit for that, dude.
Right on.
Right on. Okay, let's get my picture
off.
Up
to the, I think, last one.
Yeah.
Which is, I've lost the person's name. Rosemary's?
Rosemary's.
Okay, Michael, why don't you start on this one? Because you and I went back and forth on this a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah, again, making the comment before that I'm more of a minimalist. I like sort of the subtleties and simplicities in a photo. This speaks to me as a shot. I really like this because it just feels right. It feels like an album cover. This actually, personally, for me, feels like the kind of album cover that you would see for teaching violin.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
this I would see
like a how-to book.
Yeah, this I would see in a guitar shop or a music shop showing how to play the instrument, which I think is an interesting feeling compared to the other ones. But I love the simplicity to it. I love the drama to the shot with the lighting, that you've got the one light coming down in the middle. The only thing that I can say about this that gets me is that it came out a little bit too dark. I think you either shot this a little darker, or the vignetting that you used came on a little bit too strong. That really, at first glance, the only thing I can see is the middle of the violin and that bit of the bow, which I think may not be intentional. It doesn't feel intentional in this shot. I would have wanted to see a little more of the violin in more detail. And the case, I think we lose a little bit too much of that in shadow as well, that it's not very visible. So I think I would have liked to see this shot a little bit brighter. But the photo on its own, the composition of it, it just feels fantastic.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Absolutely.
Compositionally, for sure. What do you think, Phil? What was your
opinion?
I like
the subtle additions of the little musical notes and the treble clef, which I think Michael might have just mentioned. And I do agree that it does feel a little dark, but I think there's just enough light on the bow and on the violin to help it stand out. The one thing that I would have liked to see was the material it's sitting on to be a bit softer. That can be hard to do shooting something sitting on the materials, but it's something that could be done afterwards. However, it can be kind of tricky. That being said, I like it. There's just enough light in the case to bring out that red velvet, and that just adds an extra little bit of depth.
Good points. Very cool. The first thing I think is, well, this is light painting. And I love light painting very much.
Mhm.
But the second thing I think is I want to see more of the bow. I saw a little bit of a hair. If you can zoom in on the picture, I don't know if you can do that.
I can't. I don't know what happened to Google. Remember, it used to zoom in automatically for me?
Yeah.
And now I'm trying to do my couple fingers, and oh no, I've done something.
It's all right. Well, I pulled it up on mine here.
Okay, good, because I did this.
You've done something.
I've done a thing. Let me get out of
because
this.
I saw a hair right here. And I was like, what is that? Is that just a loose hair? And I realized it's part of the bow. It's one of the strings in the bow. And you know how sometimes they fray? And it made me want to see more of that. Like, where did it go? Where did it come from? I want to see this lit up down here. You know, the bottom of the bow. I want to see the top of the bow lit up and up into here. So you can see all those little hairs coming off. A little bit more light on the wood to give that wood that real rich, warm texture. I think, and it's even like what you said, you know, you can see a little bit of the red lining, but why not a little bit more? You don't have to go nuts. And I agree that, you know, simplicity is very important, but my question for Rosemary, I have two actually. One is, did you do a 10-second exposure because that's all you wanted to light up? Or did you only light up what you did because you only had a 10-second exposure? Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Was that a conscious choice to only go 10 seconds? Or could you have gone 30 seconds or put it in bulb and actually lock that shutter open for 150 seconds where you can take your time and use different flashlights and, you know, paint on light exactly where you want it to go up the fretboard and into the case and so on. I wasn't even thinking about the vignette. Obviously, now that I'm looking at it, yeah, I can see that there was vignette added, but I thought it was just what wasn't lit up. You know what I mean? The second question I have is, who's Melody? Who is Melody? Because that's a person's name, Melodies. So this is like, Melody owns this violin by Grace. So is that the intent of the name? Or was it supposed to be Melody, I-E-S, as in there are melodies by Grace? I don't know. It's just my mother's English teacher lessons coming to me. But I don't know. Am I out of whack here, guys? What do you think?
Well, it depends how far we want to look into things. But I do agree. I'm terrible with spelling, though, so I honestly would not have noticed unless anyone pointed that out to me. And it opened up the ability for a slightly offside Doctor Who reference. So it's all coming at Millhouse.
Nice. All right. Well, that's the last shot, isn't it?
I believe so, yes.
All right, cool. So we've picked our winners. Phil, do you want to do that screen share thing again?
Yeah,
so
I fixed my thing. I'm just getting back to where I need to go. Bear with me for a second.
Cool.
We'll screen share it through the process.
All right, sounds good. So there were great shots submitted. I really appreciate everybody's time that they took to make these photos. Again, our opinion is just that. If you like our opinion, you're right. If you don't like our opinion, you're also right.
Yes.
No big deal. We're just trying to give our 2 cents, and hopefully one or two nuggets will help out somebody. You never know. All right, so Phil's got the screen share back up, and we're going to announce the honorable mention, because we picked an honorable mention for this week. This week's honorable mention photo goes to, that would be Rosemary. She gets the honorable mention. Thank you, Rosemary. Good work. And again, I think it's the simplicity and the story that you were telling that touched a nerve. Michael, I think you nominated this for honorable mention, didn't you?
Yeah.
So maybe you can give your reason for that.
I gave this one honorable mention because exactly what I was saying. It's such a clean feeling. It's a beautiful composition for the photo. It's a great feeling for the photo, for an album cover, for an image all of its own. The only thing that really stands out to me is the darkness of it. I think the vignetting was a little bit too strong, and I would have liked to see how this image felt if it were a little bit brighter.
Awesome points. Okay, so now for third place. This week, third place will go to Christine Small for her Intrepids and Strategy photo.
Is my screen like still super zoomed in?
No.
Okay, because it looks weird in the thing down the bottom. But that's okay.
It looks full screen.
Okay, perfect. That's what we're going for.
Perfect. So, excellent job, Christine. Phil, why did you think this should be our second place photo?
Third place.
Third place, sorry, photo.
That's okay. We were talking about it beforehand, and I kind of came to the conversation a little late, but I like the feel of it. I like the fact that it is, feels a bit more black and white. You have the differing fonts on it that kind of give it the album feel, and it feels like an album.
It do. Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you, Christine. You got yourself 2 points this week. And now we're going to move on to our second place. Point earner this week is Laurie Cloutier for the photo Home for the Holidays by Avery. And I'm going to just go out there and just say that this was just – oh, wait. I love the feel of this shot. I think you did a great job. I love the snow. I love the mystical kind of feel and the tone, and I just think it really works. It kind of reminds me of like a Nana Mouskouri album.
Who?
Nana Mouskouri. Really? You don't know Nana? I'm old. Okay.
I'm slow motion shaking my head, but you can't see me.
So good job, Laura. You've got yourself 4 points this week. For that shot. Thank you so much. And now we're going to move on to our first point earner this week, who happens to be Mr. Mark Flinders for the Rocker 80s. Bass player moved to Germany, jerk. Thank you very much. I moved to Newmarket, actually, and I'm going to play the drums, but that's okay.
I think we pictures on the screen at once.
Oh, that is interesting. I think we all agreed that this was the most complete album cover submitted to us with the front and the back. There was some great discussion over how busy it may have been or whatever, but I just think that it hit all the marks, and well done. 6 points for you today, sir. That was interesting. I don't know. Anyway, somebody got money. So good job there, Mark. And to Lori, Christine, and Rosemary, thank you all so much. Excellent stuff. And to all the other people that submitted photos as well. There were no bad photos. It was just really great discussion, and we had to pick our top. So excellent job, everybody. Thank you so much. We do have a photo challenge for next week, and we also have a quote for the week. First, I'm going to give the photo challenge to everybody. This week's photo challenge is... My sound skills suck. Totally. Anyway, this week it is out. Santa Claus is coming to town. So this isn't going to be the last one by Chris. There is one more to watch out.
Mm-hmm.
Might get a horror theme. Might get a Santa theme. I don't know. Any thoughts on what you would do for this, Michael?
No. I was trying to think of ideas when you mentioned it before the show, and I'm drawing blanks right now.
I'm seeing like somebody walking down a dark alley, or maybe Santa Claus looking over the shoulder, seeing you doing something bad. Cool. Awesome. So let's see if anybody can get some good shots for Better Watch Out. And the closing quote of the week, and I'm going to say it this week because I've let everybody else say quotes for quite a while. This is from Alfred Stieglitz, who is one of the legends in the history of photography. He says, "Wherever there is light, one can photograph." And of course, the first thing I think is, well, if there isn't light, you can do light painting. And then I thought about that, and I said, but then you're adding light. So he's still right. So good job, Alfred. You got it right. Wherever there is light, one can photograph. The word photography means drawing with light.
Indeed, it does.
Very true. Couldn't get any more true than that. So thank you, everybody, for watching us this week. Before we say goodnight, guys, is there anything else you'd like to add and say? Is there something you've got coming up?
Actually, I should point out something in the chat. Apparently, the video froze for all of us, just as you were saying the challenge. So I mentioned it in the chat that it is Better Watch Out. But for everyone watching, yes, the challenge this week is Better Watch Out, and that can mean whatever you want it to mean.
Excellent. That's right. Sorry about that. Interwebs do funky things.
That it does.
Yes. Okay. So, before we say goodnight, I'm going to throw it to you guys one more time. Anything else you want to add?
No.
No, I think we're good for now. But if we
Okay.
come up with anything, we'll post it.
we'll put it out there. So excellent job, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching and submitting. And thank you for being a part of the community and for just keeping it cool. And we will see you all next week when we have next week's show is – what is next week's show? It is the Tips and Techniques show. And we have a decent idea. I think we're going to talk about contrast.
Ooh, it's a ton we can talk about with that.
Isn't there?
Adding it, taking it away, uses.
What is it?
Yeah.
You know, like not just in a photo, but contrasting ideas in a single photo. It could be a lot of things. So contrast is going to
talk about my favorite color.
What's that?
Yeah. My favorite color is actually based on color science and contrast.
Interesting.
We will roll that in.
50% gray?
I'm sorry?
Don't worry about it.
Oh, 50% gray. No, I'm not quite that boring.
That would be very awful. All right, guys. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Michael. We'll see you guys soon. Phil, I'm probably going to see you much sooner. Oh, I have something to share.
Yes?
Before we say goodnight, I just want to share a photo that we made recently together, Phil.
I don't remember. We made a picture together?
Yes, we did. It was actually something that you worked very hard on.
Oh, yes.
So I don't really know how this happened, but cool Phil showed up with the
I forgot you
Henry's
took
hat.
that.
So you should always know if you're around me and I take your photo, chances are it'll pop up somewhere. We were at work one day. Phil and I both work together now at the Henry's in Newmarket. And yeah, so cool Phil. Cool Phil. Check you later. That's the check you later look.
It's anyway. Something.
It's the something. All right. Good night, everybody. We'll see y'all next week. Have a good week. Bye-bye. Nothing?
Every week.
Michael, yeah, there you go. Come on, guys. Wave. Earn it.